Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to just give an update, a follow-up to a story I had done earlier this year about our 2009 Jeep Grand Cherokee, my wife's car. And I do have some other videos posted from earlier in the year about this, which I will leave links to in case you want to check them out. But just to make a long story short, um, she's the original owner of it, 2009, and at the time they were offering a lifetime powertrain warranty standard. It was not an extended warranty that we bought or anything. It came standard when you bought a new car at that time. So we had used it over the years for some minor things like gasket leaks and whatever. And one time it was a drive shaft, front drive shaft had worn out, and they took care of that. So what I had brought in, I think it was in February of 23. Now it's December 23. Um, we were getting an oil leak in the driveway. So, like I said, gaskets are covered. Brought it to the local dealer. They said it was the oil pan gasket, and so they went ahead and changed that. And then when I picked up the car, got it back home, well, on the way home, I guess the oil light on the dash came on, which means low oil pressure. So brought it back, and just to fast forward through this because it was a lot of back and forth. They started replacing other parts like the oil pump, timing cover gaskets, pressure sensors, and the light would just keep coming on. So eventually, I put like a mechanical oil pressure gauge on it and determined that the pressure was low. So then at that point, I let them know, brought it back again, and they had the car for like 3 months. And in the meantime, they told me first they told me they were going to honor the warranty and give us a new engine. Then they told me they weren't able to find an engine. Then the story became more, oh, well, we could get you an engine, but it exceeds the value of the car, so corporate doesn't want to pay for it. So then it was just very difficult from that point out because supposedly somebody from corporate was going to reach out to us. They never did. My only contact was the dealer manager, and she was trying to be helpful, but I could not get a hold of anybody about this issue. And so I ended up contacting a lawyer because I thought they were just stonewalling us and we're just going to hope we forgot about the whole thing. Meanwhile, they kept the car. They had given us a loaner, but it was going on for months. What they told me at the dealer was instead of fixing the car, they were going to give me a payout instead. Was not able to get in touch with corporate over this, so I contacted the lawyer finally and said, what are my options here? Is this even a legit thing to do? Because I had never heard of this. And they said yes. They had never heard, this lawyer had never heard of it involving a car manufacturer, but she'd heard of it from appliance manufacturers where instead of honoring a warranty, especially when the product gets much older, they will basically just buy you out of the warranty, give you some money, and that's it. They're done with their responsibility. So finally did get in touch with somebody at Chrysler after making so many different phone calls and waiting on hold and never receiving calls back. Finally talked to somebody after a FedEx was sent to the house, and they were claiming that they couldn't get a hold of us. They had my phone number. I'd never gotten these calls, but they had an incorrect email address for my wife, so maybe that was the problem. So in the end, we agreed to a deal, and then I was like, well, what's going to happen to the car? And they said, well, you can have the car back. We don't want it. So ended up hearing from the dealer after 3 months, and they were like, well, we need that loaner back. So I had your car put back together so you could drive it home because I thought it had been taken apart. It was in pieces, and I was going to have to go pick it up with a bucket and a tow truck or something and a bucket of parts. So I was like, okay. And so they said they put it back together, and so then I went down there and picked it up. So this is pretty wild. I'm at the I'm at the Jeep dealer, and the lady called me the other day and said, well, we got your car all back together. Still needs the engine, but we put it back together, it's running, and you can take it. So I'm still dumbfounded. I never thought this would happen. The car was all apart. They said the engine was shot, and they couldn't fix it. They couldn't get the parts, whatever. It wasn't worth. It wasn't. You know, the repair exceeded the cost of the value of the car, but they got it back together. So just gonna drive it home, see what happens. Sounds about the same as it did before. So today is, I believe, September 29th. I dropped this car off here the first week of June this year. So, well, 3 months. Unbelievable. So I stopped at Home Depot and then I drove home, and surprisingly, so far no oil light, but now I am seeing smoke coming from the front. So I should probably check that out. It sounds good. It sounds quiet. I don't know what the smoke is. Maybe just some oily residue burning off or something. I don't know. Said they put a new coil on somewhere. I don't know what that was about either. Just coolant maybe. I still can't believe it, you know. Like, I really never thought I'd see this thing running again ever. And they just did it no charge. I mean, when does a dealer ever do that? They put everything back together and said, no charge. Pretty wild. I guess, you know, drive it around a bit and see what happens. See if anything else pops up. So after this video, which was back in late September, we drove the car around for a little while. Never heard any weird noises. The light never came back on. And at this point, my wife just wanted a new car. So she had had it with this car, especially after this whole fiasco. And the car had been leaking water through the sunroof for years. And I had sealed it up at one point, but then I think she tried to open the sunroof and then it started leaking again. So I thought I had sealed it up for good, but I guess pressing that button up there will open up the sunroof and break the seal. So anyway, ended up trading the car in. She got a new car, well, a used car, but a 4-year-old car instead of a, whatever this was, 14-year-old car. So she's happy, and the car was probably sent off to auction. But my theory on what happened here is when we initially brought it in, They gave the car to, I think, and this is like a common thing now with dealers. I don't think they I don't think they hire the most qualified people. I don't think they're mechanics. They're just people. I don't know what their qualifications are, but on minor jobs, especially on an older car like this, they assign these guys who probably aren't really qualified to do much more than an oil change. They give them a job. Obviously, something got screwed up when they did this oil pan. My personal theory is they forgot to refill it with oil and they started it up and drove it around a little bit, then realized, oh crap, there's no oil in here, put the oil in, and that's why the pressure light was on. The bearings were probably all scored up, and who knows. So anyway, my next theory was, well, how did this car come back together in good working order? I think eventually they got around to giving it to a qualified mechanic at the dealer service place, and I have a feeling they fixed it. Whatever the issues were, maybe they threw new bearings in it. That's the thing, you can't ever get a straight story out of them, because when I picked it up, the lady told me, oh, the engine's still bad, but the pressure light's not on anymore, and the engine sounds fine, drives fine, who knows. So it's just kind of a weird, strange story. Was going on pretty much all of this year. Finally got it resolved, and so we can close the chapter now on the Jeep. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any similar kind of stories with Jeep or other manufacturers, shoot me a comment, let me know. I had never heard of anything like this before. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.